This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend. The end of our elaborate plans. The end of everything that stands. The end, no safety or surprise. The end, I'll never look into your eyes again. Can you picture what will be so limitless and free? Desperately in need of some stranger's hand in a desperate land. Lost in a romance, wilderness of pain, and all the children are insane. All the children are insane. Waiting for the summer rain, There's danger on the edge of town. Ride the King's Highway, baby. Weird scenes inside the gold mine. Ride the highway west, baby. Ride the snake. Ride the snake to the lake, the ancient lake, baby. The snake is long, 7 miles. Ride the snake. He's old and his skin is cold. The West is the best. The West is the best. Get here and we'll do the rest. The blue bus is calling us. The killer awoke before dawn. He put his boots on. He took a face from the ancient gallery and he walked on down the hall. He went into the room where his sister lived, and then he paid a visit to his brother, and then he walked on down the hall, and he came to a door, and he looked inside. Father, yes, son, I want to kill you. Mother, I want to. Come on, baby, take a chance with us. Come on, baby, take a chance with us. Come on, baby, take a chance with us and meet me at the back of the blue bus. Do not blue rock on that blue bus.
So today is the last time that we'll meet for lecture, but of course we will still hold our help hours and lab hours throughout the week for anybody who is still going to take advantage of the resubmission opportunity. Make sure that you're reading about that opportunity on Campus Wire. It was posted a week ago. But today we're just going to be doing a course retrospective, so nothing new here. What a retrospective is... Oh, I'm sorry, just one more second. Okay, yeah, we're good. All right. So what a what a retrospective is, I should say, is at the end of something, you look back and you say what went well, you identify what went well, you identify what didn't go so well, and what can be improved for the future. I think I've mentioned it before, but basically this course has been structured like a Scrum through sprints. Which is a widely used software development process. Basically, a sprint at the beginning of it, it's a self-management thing, where a team of developers has a bunch of a backlog list of features or bugs that need to be fixed or whatever, and then they at the beginning of the sprint they commit to what they're going to do for the next 4 weeks. Say, our sprints are of course about 2 weeks. But in actual development time, it's usually 4 weeks. And then they estimate, we can get this stuff done over here, but that's it for the next 4 weeks. That development is frozen, right? You can't have a boss coming in and saying, drop everything, we now have an emergency and we need to go do this thing now. Or, no, that doesn't matter anymore, just go ahead and, get rid of it or whatever, right? That prevents you, or it insulates the team, the software development team, from mismanagement outside, right? They know what they're doing. They have a better idea of how to go about doing it. And at the end of that sprint, you work steadily, hopefully, and You have this thing called a burn down chart, where you have all the work that you have to do, and then it's steadily going down and going down until you have zero work at the end of the sprint. Because you don't want to, see it where it goes down immediately, because that means that you misestimated everything. And so we're going to be twiddling our thumbs for the next 3 weeks, right? Or we're not getting anything done, we're not getting anything done until we cram at the last possible second, and then everything becomes due, right? Or even worse, you never get anything done, and you're still at the where you started at the beginning of the 4 weeks. But at the end of that 4 weeks, you have a retrospective. What worked well over this last 4 weeks? What didn't work well? And what do we need to do for our next sprint to plan better and improve things for the future? Your course evaluations are your retrospective for me, right? It is your opportunity to tell me what went well, what didn't go so well, and what could be improved for the future. They are now open. They are offered through Canvas. For this course, about 28 people, as of this morning, 28 people out of 73 eligible have filled it out. So it's about 38% right now. If you can get that up to 75%, then I will give everybody 20 bonus points. It's about a lab. So if you missed a lab, or you didn't do well in a lab or something like that, or you did well in all of your labs, then you get an extra lab bonus point here, right? And so we've got 28 people there. We need about, 28 more or so to get to that 75% threshold. I don't know who's going, it's always anonymous, so I don't know who fills it out. I can't just give bonus points to the people who fill it out. Instead, I say that if we reach this threshold of 75%, then everybody gets these bonus points here. So encourage your partner, encourage your friends, or whoever else in this course to actually fill this out and get it done. Don't just fill it out to fill it out, right? Actually be thoughtful about it, and identify things that, again, what went well, what didn't go so well, and what could be improved for the future. Right, but otherwise, how about our course retrospective? Right, what did we do in this course? Well, first of all, hopefully you've improved your soft skills. Right, you've improved your teamwork. Even if you worked alone, you probably still had to converse with an LA at some point. Maybe you had to converse with a senior leader or something like that. But if you did work together with somebody, right, then you have more experience in a team now, right? And that involves conflict resolution. You may have been involved with somebody at the beginning of the semester that you're no longer involved with, right? Because you had to dissolve that partnership, or you had to have a hard conversation with your partner at some point that they weren't pulling their weight, or and so you had to lay down the law and say, well, we need this is my expectation going forward, and if that expectation is not met, then we need to dissolve this relationship here. Hopefully you have better soft skills as far as coordination goes, right? That generally you don't want to work with somebody who is completely opposite of yourself, right? You work during the day and they work during the night or something, right? And so you need to develop those soft skills of how to deal with other people that work differently from yourself, right? You have hopefully better planning, organization, and time management as well. We gave you a tool at the very beginning of the semester called a Gantt chart, right? And we helped you follow that tool. We took away that scaffolding progressively throughout the semester to the point where we're not even going to give you a thread on Campus Wire for assignment 7 going forward. But hopefully you have a better time of how you work, and how you work well and how you work poorly, right? If you're waiting till the last possible second, right, that's probably not sustainable, right? Procrastination is not sustainable. Hopefully you've increased your toolbox, right? For many of you, you have a second or third programming language, Java, SQL, right? Python maybe, I don't know. But otherwise, you also have exposure to an object-oriented programming language. If you're just coming from C or you're just coming from Python, neither one of those are really object-oriented programming languages, right? And so now you have an idea of what OOP kind of a paradigm looks like. Everybody, of course, has SQL, so you can start doing database stuff. And hopefully you've had more experience with Git, right? Especially if you were working in a team up here, right? This coordination. If you weren't using Git, you were probably doing it wrong, right? If you were handing files back through email or a thumbnail drive or something like that, literally, you were living in the 20th century, and we're a quarter of the way into the 21st century. So make sure that that Git is a regular part of your toolbox. Use it on a daily basis. Even goes beyond software development. I use it as a backup for just personal projects, right? For example, I've got I never liked any baseball scorecards that you could buy in the store, so I made my own and I put it up on Git, right? And that's where I store it, and that's where I keep all my stuff, right? It has nothing to do with software development, but I still use Git to keep it there because it's on the cloud and it's for free, right? You also have experience building and perspective building a larger project. Now, the project that you did throughout the semester is still not a huge project, right? It might have seemed huge because it was the first substantial project that you did over the course of 15 weeks, but real systems are far more complex, way more locks, lines of code, and way more complicated than what we've done this semester. You use frameworks or multi-tier architecture, stuff like that. But at least you now have exposure to what a larger project looks like, that things build on each other. And if you have a bad phase one, right, or you have a bad module over here, and you're building on top of that, everything is extremely brittle, right? Also, you have exposure to technical writing through your design document, right? So hopefully you've improved your writing skills and you understand what technical writing looks like, right? Which is probably something you've not done before. You've probably had to do 5-paragraph essays or literature analysis or maybe poetry, creative writing, something like that. Technical writing is completely different, right? You're trying to convey the maximum amount of information in the minimum amount of text, okay? Again, hopefully you have a better understanding of what's now technical debt, right? Or eating your own dog food, right? If you do have one of those bad phases or one of those bad designs, you end up fighting that design later on, right? Or you end up incurring technical debt. If you get it done really quick, or I just need to get it done. Okay, it kind of works, right? It's still got bugs and not all the features are there, whatever, but I got it done quickly, right? Because I waited till the last possible minute. You have now just taken a loan out on your future time, right? That's what technical debt is. You're taking out a loan because you're going to eventually have to find time to do it over, right? Or you're going to be eating your own dog food and building on top of a poor foundation, and it's going to be brittle and it's all going to come crashing down eventually, right? But eventually you're going to have to pay, with any loan, you have to pay interest later on. And with the technical debt, you don't know how much interest you're going to have to pay eventually, right? Bad practices, hopefully they're apparent why they're bad practices now, right? Design is an afterthought versus design first. If you invest your time, that's the opposite of technical debt. You are investing time up front in a good design, and then you are doing an implementation because you thought about it first. And that's just the opposite of debt because it'll pay you later on, right? If you invest money, it pays you dividends later on. Right? Oh, oops, we don't need to go to technical debt to read what it is, but you can if you want. Hopefully you've seen that the importance of using good test cases, good test suites. This semester we forced you to use JUnit a lot more than we have in the past. And hopefully by forcing you to use JUnit, you've seen, okay, I can actually test this stuff rather than just throwing stuff against the wall and seeing if it sticks, right? Or using the grader as a black box tester. You have no idea what's wrong, right? But if you have your own test cases, then there's a starting point to how to for debugging properly. This is mostly broken by Computer Science 1, right? But we still see it, even Computer Science 2 and beyond. Hopefully you've seen why poor variable names are counterproductive, right? Yagnis, all right? Over-engineering things. You ain't gonna need it yet, or you ain't gonna need it at all, right? Don't over-engineer things. Just do it right. Bad database design, right? Then you start. Then there's no reconciliation between your Java classes, your POJOs, and your database tables, right? Hopefully you have a better appreciation for the scope of a larger project, working and coordinating in teams, etc. You're better coders overall, you're better designers overall after having gone through this course, hopefully, right? For those that didn't do so well, right, they never really got started, right? And that bears out with the week-to-week averages, right? Those who have dropped this class or are probably going to not do so well just never really turned in that first assignment or that second assignment. And with the project, it compounded, right? Because if you didn't have that first phase, there's no way that you're going to be able to do that second phase or the third phase. Again, procrastination is always going to be your enemy. Adopt some personal way of doing self-organization or self-management. If that's a Gantt chart, great. Otherwise, if it's something else, if it's just a to-do list or as simple as a to-do list on Gmail or whatever app you might be using, right? Agile development, like I said, we did the sprints for you. Instead of 4 weeks, it was down to 2 weeks, and we said these are the features you're going to implement. But otherwise, you've seen what it looks like because you're going to be using it in your senior design and in your jobs. Most software development companies now are using agile software development with Scrum, where the teams are self-managed to try to extricate the external pointy head managers from ruining things, right? But otherwise, agile development is really, really common. And of course, design comes first. We've also seen insufficient testing, right? Well, it works on my machine, it runs on my machine, right? Well, yeah, great. That means that your machine is wrong because it doesn't work on another machine or every machine, right? If you can run code, you can run tests. If you can write code, you can run repeatable tests. And if you can read code, you can write proper unit tests. And this semester, we tried to force you to do that both on assignment 1 and assignment 0 and assignment 3 or whatever it was, where we gave you the hint that here's what your design should look like because it should be running in these proper unit tests. In fact, that's a change that we made this semester. We didn't require that in the project, but by requiring it this semester, our hope was twofold. That one, the projects would work better, right, be more correct, and two, the designs would be better with respect to the inheritance hierarchy. And it was still mixed, right? It was slightly better, but I don't think it was still there yet. So, continuous improvement in your daily lives, in this course, and in your professional lives. If you recall back to the first day, all right, we identified these as skills objective outcomes in this course, right? By the end of this course, we said you should be able to more easily pick up and learn a new programming language on your own because now you have 3 programming languages. It might be C, Python, Java, and now SQL because SQL is a programming language. And now you should be able to go on to CS3 and pick up something else on your own, or do a personal project. Pick up C# and do some game development in Unity, or JavaScript and do some web page development or something like that, right? You should be able to recognize, use, and design and appreciate programs with an object-oriented flavor, right? Because now you have an object-oriented programming language under your belt. You should be able to design a database-backed application from scratch given a general problem statement because that's what we gave you. Here's a general problem statement. We then outline the process that you should follow. You could probably do that now with something completely different that has nothing to do with what was the theme this year. Very good development. So it's builders, right? It's a subcontractors or whatever it is. It changes every year. You should be able to understand and implement basic data structures as well as recognize how and when to leverage appropriate simple data structures. In other words, you should be able to say, if I pull that off the shelf, I only have to write 3 lines of code, that heap or something. If I use a heap, I only have to write 3 lines of code and it does it for me, right? The smart data structure does all the work. You should be able to identify and analyze basic algorithms and understand why, oh, well, this is taking forever because it's an order n squared algorithm or it's an exponential algorithm or something like that. If I leverage searching and sorting, could it be improved, right? If I leverage a smart data structure like a map, that was even on assignment 1. If you use a map, it was so much easier to get that stuff done, right? Again, the theme of this course, encapsulated by all of that, is by Eric S. Raymond here. Smart data structures and dumb code work a lot better than the other way around, right? If you write really clever code, right, you might get no data structures at all. You might get the job done. But I could use a smart data structure here because I know how to use it and that it's efficient, et cetera, et cetera. And I can only have to write 3 lines of code versus your 100 lines of code or something. Right? By the end of this course, you should be able to approach a reasonably complex problem and ask design questions first. In other words, what entities or objects should I design to model this problem? Right? How will these objects interact with each other to solve the problem, and what data structures would be most appropriate and efficient to use on this problem? Right? So the big takeaway for this should be that you may have done some or a lot of things poorly, but next time you're going to do better because you've gone through the process at least once. Right? This is why we allow a resubmission opportunity, because we know that you are going to donk up at least one of those exercises or one of those assignments. So fine, go ahead. At the end of the semester, do it again, right? Do it over, find time to do it right the next time, and take a lesson from that, right? The other key takeaway here is that as software developers or software engineers or computer computer scientists, whatever you want to call yourself, or now we have got data engineers, data scientists, roboticists are going to start next semester or next year. I guess they've already started. We've got a robotics major coming online. All right. You're going to have to be all of these things, right? You're not just a programmer. In fact, I put programmer down here at the bottom. That's, at the end of the day, that's probably the least important thing to an entire career, right? Basically, you need to be a lawyer, a philosopher, a diplomat, manager, designer, creator, writer, and thinker, right? Let's start at the top here. Why do you have to be a lawyer? A little bit of a lawyer, yeah. Yeah, is what I'm doing legal, right? Is what I'm doing. Can I use that library over there? Well, what's it released under? Oh, it's released under GPL. That means that we cannot use it and make a profit on how we use it. So that's out. We got to write our own. Or yeah, we can go ahead and do that. More importantly, you need to be enough of a lawyer to know that you're not a lawyer, right? And to know when, oh no, we need a lawyer now, right? A great story that I always like to tell is a couple of years ago. We've got this. I had this JavaScript class, and they put one of the projects. They used this free image that somebody had released under a Creative Commons license, and then we got our sysadmins got a cease and desist. Pay us $500 because you didn't use that image properly. Right? These are copyleft trolls. Have you ever heard of the copyright trolls? Right? Have you ever heard of that? Where you can use this image, but if you don't credit it exactly the way that you need to credit it, right, then they can go ahead and sue you for misappropriation or something like that, right? They weren't enough of a lawyer to know that they were not lawyers. They immediately responded and said, "We've taken it down. We're really sorry for that," right? That is lawyer gold. Never, ever admit guilt, right? Never ever say sorry, because now you are screwed if the actual lawyers take you to court, right? This is why you don't talk to cops, period, right? Never talk to police. But I knew that I was not enough of a lawyer to keep my mouth shut and say, nope, refer it to the lawyers. The lawyers handled it. They said, F you, go away, right? And we don't pay out copyright claims like that, right? But we would have been in a very actionable situation had they decided to pursue it, because guilt was already admitted by one of our sysadmins, right? You need to be enough of a lawyer to know that you're not a lawyer and to get a lawyer, right? When you need it, right? You need to be a little bit of a philosopher, because design, right? There might be two designs there with some advantages here and disadvantages elsewhere, and advantages over here and disadvantages over here, right? You need to be able to think about it a little bit more, right? And therefore you need to be a philosopher. Where's my Eric S. Raymond quote? There we go. Eric S. Raymond, this quote was actually from a book called The Cathedral and the Bazaar, which is a philosophical approach to software development. The idea here from the title is, where do good ideas come from? Do they come from the learned few in the ivory towers of the cathedral? Or do they come from the bazaar, from lots of ideas, lots of different eyes, and lots of different opinions coming to a consensus, right? And so that's a philosophical approach to software development. It's kind of also open source software versus closed source software, right? And that is a philosophy, right? Free as in beer, if you've ever heard that term, right? So you also need to think about how code should work, not just design questions. You need to be a diplomat because you're going to be in a team at some point, right? And so you need to be able to communicate effectively with others, look at things from their point of view, understand their point of view, have some empathy, or be able to see things other people's ways, so that you have a different perspective, right? And so that's what it means diplomacy, right? You're going to have to be a manager because you're already a manager of your own time, right? The transition from high school, where everything is dictated to you, to college, where everything is now, well, no, you're on your own, right? Now you need to be a manager of yourself. You need to be a manager of your projects. You need to be a manager of everything, right? We also call that, now people call that adulting, right? You just need to be your own manager. You need to be a designer and a creator, of course, because that's what you've done throughout the semester. You need to be a writer because that's also goes into effective communication, right? Like we said when we brought in the Writing Center folks to come and help me talk about technical writing, right? We pointed out that, sadly, about 60 or 70% of the U.S. population, I don't know if that's that bad, but it's certainly over 50%, read and write at a 6th grade level, right? That's pathetic, right? If you're in college, you probably far exceed that. But still, if you can write a coherent email, right, to a potential employer, that still puts you a head and shoulders above the rest of the 90% of folks, right? You need to be a thinker, and least, you need to be a programmer. Because if you're all of these things, you're going to end up spending most of your time doing these things and only a small amount of your time actually programming stuff. If you come up with a good design, right, then basically you're on autopilot when you come to actually implement this stuff, right? Okay. So I do not have stats yet, but I will post them on CampusWire as to what were the final grades. We don't have stats yet because, of course, people are still redoing their resubmissions. We have assignment 7 and the design document. But from a historical perspective, it's going to be about the same. Typically, the ABC distributions are 70 to 75%. DFW, that is, these are the grades, along with the withdrawal, will be 25 to 30%, and it's going to be the same this semester. It's comparable to the historic distribution of this course, right? So it's been no different than last 5-10 years. Right? What you have remaining is assignment 7, which is your sorted list abstract data type, your sorted list class, and its reports that you have to produce. You also have your design document, right? Make sure that you're reviewing our feedback and retrospectives for the common stuff. If you are still using first person, right, you need to take care of that because that will be major points off. You also have a, I don't know what that means. There's a comment online. David Foster Wallace. Oh, okay. DFW, I see what it is. David Foster Wallace, who's he committed suicide. He was an author and a poet, I think. David Foster Wallace was a poet too. I'm not sure. Anyway, he suffered from a depression. Right? So the post-course survey, that's also part of your grade, right? Getting that is not the same thing as the course evaluation. There's a post-course survey. It takes, I think there might be 1 or 2 parts, I forget. But it's basically just asking you your self-assessment of where you are in a couple of things. It is graded based on completion entirely. And then, of course, you've got that course evaluation because if we hit that 75% threshold, then we will have 20 bonus points there. Obviously, there's no final exam because there's been no exams, no quizzes or anything like that. So once you are done with these remaining items, you are done with the course, right? We're not meeting during finals week at all. Nobody meets during finals week. The final exam time period, whenever that is scheduled for this course, there's nothing to do there, right? Instead, it's all project-based for this course. Right? Where do you go from here, though? Right? So here at UNL, if you're not already taking discrete math, mostly computer engineers skip this until the 3rd semester. But if you're not taking discrete math, then that's your next course. If you are taking it, great, then you're done with it. But otherwise, as far as computer science goes, you would end up taking computer science 3 because you start in 1. This is computer science 2. The next one is computer science 3. That's CSCE 310. The official name is not computer science 3, but that's what it is. The official name is data structures and algorithms. So it'll be a continuation of this course, right? We left off with basic data structures, trees and heaps. You'll probably might review those, but then you'll also look at balanced binary search trees, Probably do hash tables, hashing, and stuff like that, and then other data structures and algorithms, right? And algorithm analysis. So we introduce the concepts here, and then you get more work with them in Computer Science 3. As far as everything else is concerned, I can't really advise you on that unless you want to come in and talk about it. But otherwise, you should probably be on, Calc 3 if you want to take it, or if you have to take it. Stats 380 maybe is something that you take as well in your third semester. Where would you go to find out this stuff, by the way? Catalog, right? Go to the undergraduate. Let's just go with let's go with computer science because that's the most common. Right? But of course, you can search for computer science, computer engineering, software engineering, whatever. Here's a 4-year course plan. So next semester, as in fall, you'd be taking something like this, right? You'd be taking CSCE 310. Looks like 251, which is an online Unix course if you haven't already taken that. An ACE-1 writing, fill out some more general education requirements. If you never took all 4 years of your high school, like Spanish or whatever, you might be working on a modern language. But otherwise, this is not a one-size-fits-all. It's just a suggestion, right? Professionally, what should you be doing? You should be looking for those internships, right? I've got another resource here, I guess. What would it be? Get, me, and advising, and internships. So what should you be doing for internships if you haven't been doing it already? You can ignore this because it's specifically for software engineering. But to get an internship, make sure that you attend all of those semesterly career fairs, right? We hold a career fair every single semester. Probably not during the summer, though. Attend to all of them. Bring your resume and network, right? Even if you're not looking for an internship or you already have your internship, but you should still be looking because just taking your resume and cover letter and giving it to a bunch of employers, that's going to be super valuable because they're going to be calling you eventually. Right? Make sure you attend any special visits by employers in the department. Those are announced where? In Bits and Bytes, right, for those opportunities. Bits and Bytes also lists like job opportunities, like the CB3, the Brain Trauma Center. They were looking for programmers to join their research team because, of course, programmers are hard to come by in other disciplines. Routinely, we'll have people from physics, sociology, other departments looking for somebody who knows how to program because guess what? Everybody needs a programmer, right? Everybody should program, not really, but that's the line. But everybody needs a programmer at some point. And finally, Handshake. I can't get into it because I'm not a student, but Handshake is UNL's job listing and job posting website. What is it actually? unl.joinhandshake.com/login, right? Employers will post job opportunities. You can get notifications and alerts on new job opportunities, job listings, internships, etc. Right? Over the summer, stay frosty. Learn a new language. Build a project if you don't want to learn a new language. Right? You get into this because you like it. At least you don't hate it. Right? You should probably keep your skills up. Again, if you wanted to develop a video game or something like that, learn C# and learn Unity. If you wanted to build a website, learn JavaScript and learn some framework or something like that, like to do MVC, right? .com, right? So, if you want to learn some JavaScript and JavaScript framework, choose one and just go with it, right? For example, I'd recommend Angular. That's probably the most, or React. Those are the two most popular right now. Learn one of these frameworks and start learning some JavaScript, right? Do something over the summer so that you keep your skill sets fresh, right? Keep in touch, right? So the School of Computing has several resources to keep in touch. You'll be getting bits and bytes throughout the summer. I think it switches to every other week, maybe once a month or something, but make sure that you're reading that. I can no longer advise you to join the Student Advisory Board Discord because it's been dead for a while and it's been taken over by spammers. Instead, what I would suggest that you do is join the UNL Coding Club. Right? So let me go to Discord here. Right? They are quite active, and they have a whole bunch of subclubs. I think we've announced this before, but let's go ahead and go down. Where are you? They're right there, right? For example, they have where are their subclubs? No, it's right here. They've got a subclub for competitive programming, a subclub for machine learning and artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, open source robotics, a study group, a hangout group, personal projects, interview prep, and most recently, Brony James. I don't know why. That's just a meme subclub or whatever. But otherwise, there's your Discord join URL, or not URL. It's what are those things called? Damn it, QR code. There we go. QR code. Otherwise, there's the link to it too. Right. You can go ahead and join their Discord, join one of their subclubs, and stay in touch over the summer. Again, I can't recommend the student advisory board because that Discord is dead. Right? Okay. Otherwise, thank you. Thank you to all of the students who helped on CampusWire answering other folks' questions. Thank you to all the learning assistants and course leaders. Hopefully you nominated your favorite ones for some awards this coming Friday. And thank you for everybody who took this class all the way through. And I hope you have a good summer. All right. Any questions? All right. That's the end of lecture. All right. Have a good summer.